Welcome to the Herb and Rick Social Hour. We invite you to sit back, relax, and enjoy the ponderings and musings of Herb Reed and Rick Hammond as they explore various and sundry topics, ideas, and experiences. We join this week's conversation already in progress.
Well, I think I got a volume there. Say something.
Testing 1, 2, 3.
I think we're good. We're rolling. To answer your question, Trish and her talent, her musical talent, she's been apparently she used to sing when she was a kid by herself in her room, and she would use a little tape recorder and get between two stereo speakers and work her voice. And then, of course, we sing it. We've been singing at church for quite a
long
while.
Time.
Well, I looked up one day and I was like, oh, wait a minute. She actually just sings pretty good, and maybe she'll, she's like, well, I've always wanted to do backups and stuff.
See, both of y'all, together, that was awesome, Rick.
Well, we'll touch on that at another point in time where we can share that. I don't want to,
cross over too much.
Yeah, I don't want to take every show hostage and say, hey, here's a new song we're working on. Before I forget, real quickly, tell me about that prank again that your buddy did. So they wrecked their car and they had to get a rental.
I think he was going to buy another one, and they were saving to go to Disneyland, and he was teasing his kids, but like it was just so original. So I think it was a early 70 model tank vehicle.
Yeah.
No air conditioning.
I had one. You used to have one?
Oh, my mother.
Doesn't everybody?
Monte Carlo back. Yeah, we had a Monte Carlo.
My nephew's got a Monte Carlo now, I believe. He loves it.
What year is it? You remember what year?
I want to say 76 or something.
Yeah,
and it runs right and everything.
And those were pretty good cars back in the days. And so he went to pick up his kids from school because they was expecting to pick them. He had told them he was going to get a new car, and he pulled up to school to pick these girls up first. And just to look on their faces, they were all hesitant. They did a double take. Is that Daddy? Had to say, and he waved at them. Come on, get in. You liked it. And then they had the youngest one got in. She had a few words. No, tell me you didn't buy this, Dad. Yeah, we're trying to save. And then the oldest girl just standing outside looking, just debating whether she's going to get it. But long story being short, just the reaction of the kids and this, he caught it. He caught it from every angle. From the youngest.
You said he's had like several thousand hits on Facebook?
Yes, on Facebook alone off this original video.
But
just him, because he filmed this stuff, by camera, and he explained what he was going to do, and
they weren't appreciative.
Oh no, they
no
were
air conditioning.
They had no air conditioning.
Stereo.
And what is this ashtray deal? Just because nowadays, kids don't realize, how a little bit those old AM, FM radio, cassettes.
That's a good point.
That air conditioning don't work, so you're not thankful. I'm the opposite of thankful right now. Yes. They lit into him, and then the son, teenager, he's just brute big guy, And
he had to roll down the windows just to keep cool.
Riding with his sister in the back, and he's just, really, Dad? This is a joke. I don't find it funny. I thought his son's going to come across and just whack up.
That's great.
But yeah, that right there was an original. I was like, man.
Do something like that with my kids. That's a great
that
idea.
right there were big because, they're much more on the kids now. Like I say, how things look, they just got to look cool.
I went up and picked a piece of furniture up last weekend with my brother, and they were, what were they doing? They were doing let's see here. Hold on 1 second. Hey, Madeline. Somebody get that front door. She got her headphones on. She can't hear nothing.
She can't hear right now.
Well, I was up there. My nephews were my nephew went with me, but my two nephews that are up there were hanging out, and they're younger, and one of them was thumbs all over his technology, and I was like, we didn't have that kind of stuff back in the day. And he goes, yes, I'm reminded of that often. And he's like, maybe 12 or 15. I can't remember all these now. But it's crazy talk. Anyway, so where were we? Let's see here. At one point, we were going to talk about first girlfriends, early girlfriend romance, breakup, heartbreak.
Before we had any experience at all.
And you were saying that you had to end up having a discussion with your grandmother.
Well, because back then, like I said, is it love? In fact, what do you call it back then? Your first crush?
Puppy love.
And Yeah, and I mean, I was sensitive in those days. I didn't know how to take it early on. You know what? I'm thinking 15, 16 years old, and I had first time I was. You know, you're happy dating a girl, baby. It makes you just feel good. You know,
like,
and
okay, I'm moving towards adulthood.
But when they start acting,
how old were you again?
Probably about 16.
Okay, so you were a little bit later than my
a little
first
bit later, and first time I got my heart broke. You know, it was just. She showed up one day, and it was like a different person. But you ain't got to explain now, because now I know. But just, I mean, hey, what's wrong? Are you okay? Nothing's wrong. Okay, so quit. I mean, just different. But
showed up where, at school?
Well, at my house.
Well, if she was ready to break up, why'd she even come over? She was coming over to break up.
Probably coming over to break. You know, just they didn't know back then. It seemed like they beat around the bush so much before they actually.
Yeah, that's true.
We just need to be friends or whatever. And you know, like I said, I took it hard. You know, heartbroken. First time I felt heartache.
Right.
For the first time.
Yeah,
I'm sitting up here, you know,
like
looking to get some sympathy, empathy, you know, for my.
What? I was seeing us married and having kids.
Yes, I mean, that's the way we looked at it then, Rick. And
that's what I was saying with the guys. I mean, guys are kind of, I think, especially at that early teenage, I think they're kind of like, I know I was sort of rose-colored glasses, like, oh, okay, this will work out. We'll just stay boyfriend, girlfriend, and one day we'll get married, and that's it. You know, and girls, I think, are looking at it like, I ain't sticking with this guy. He's got no direction. He don't know what he's going to do with his life.
I mean, when you didn't have no direction unless you were the main person, you know, had something positive going on. So
and who does that at 16? Very few people.
Well, evidently they know several guys that do, because once they do, they drop you, you know, and move on. And
well, the guys, yeah, they'll do the dropping too, but
eventually, but the girl, I mean, they it's like they recuperated a whole lot quicker than I did. I mean, I'm sitting up here with tears in my eyes, blurry. My grandmother's sitting up there with a look of disgust, looking there. Now, you know, I'm thinking, you know, I'm gonna get some compassion. So you sitting over there crying because this girl. You know how many women around there? I dare you! Don't you drop a tear for her. I mean, she just snapped, and I'm sitting up here swallowing, you know, choking down. Felt like a little woman myself at the time. And it's like, man, it's like, oh, you got the opposite. You know, she wasn't no baby, and it was like, get over it. I mean, you still young. You wasn't gonna marry a girl, no way. So go on about your business.
Well, and then you're thinking in your head, I thought I was.
Yeah, I mean, you know,
I thought this was it.
I was emotionally destroyed.
Yeah.
And
well, here, I remember, and I think I remember. I think I was 13 or 14. How old are you in junior high? It was junior high. I was like
probably 13, 12, 14.
Yeah. And I couldn't drive. I mean, I couldn't, you know, our parents
had
to drive us for our dates, you know, or whatever. But so I think we dated for 3 or 4 months through the school year, and it got to summer break, and she's like, well, she called me over to her house. I'm going to the beach, and she was just teary-eyed.
Oh,
Archie, somebody let Archie out. Go.
So she came to your house, teary-eyed.
No, I went to her. She was like, can you come over? We're getting ready to go to the beach. And she had been mentioning going to the beach. And I was like, okay, that's right. She's like, I'm going to the beach. You got to promise me you're not going to break up with me while I'm gone, and you're not going to find somebody. I'm like, and she's like, I'm going to be gone for 2 whole weeks. I'm like, 2 whole weeks? That's not that big a deal. I can do that. I mean, and I'm thinking to myself, I wasn't planning on going anywhere anyway. This is all fine with me.
She just wanted to make sure she had you where she wanted you.
Oh, get a load. So she gets down there and calls me the first week, like, you know, left out on, calls me that Friday. Well, I've met somebody else, and we're gonna have to break up so I can move on. I'm like, what?
I'm gonna have to break up so I can move on. But
you made me promise that I would not cheat or leave you or do anything. And you're calling me a week later.
She had to make sure it was worth it, Rick.
Oh my gosh! I was just like,
just in case this other cat didn't work out, you know, she still had you.
No, she didn't. She met the guy down
just
there.
Met him.
Yeah. So I'm like, what you made me promise not that, and you're calling me inside of 5 days, telling me that it's over because you've moved on,
and you're out there with them, you know, down on vacation now.
You know, and then like you said, your mind is just reeling. I'm going, wait a minute, don't you see how unjust this is? I mean, you made me promise to stay with you, and you are leaving me.
That's like an emotional time bomb, you know. I mean, to get the word to be down like that, and most of the time now,
and there's nothing you can do. And she's you know 4 hours away at the coast of the state.
See, some women are good about that. They wait till they get so far away from you where they're out of reach before they decide to tell you anything. Or,
right.
They just let it really rip how they truly feel. You know, I really never loved you to begin with, blah, blah.
So did you have any other one? Or was that pretty much was your first one your most painful?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was the first time I still don't know if it was true love or not, but, you know, just the closest I've
Best
ever
you knew,
been.
right.
Yes, with the woman at that time, but, you know, now being married, you know, now I see what love truly is, you know.
Well, tell me, you mentioned, and I don't want to belabor it, but you mentioned something about once you met Dorita and some things you had to change at that point. What was all
I
that?
had to, and I'm still, you know, I had to learn because she was so far ahead when it come to organizing.
Amen, brother. Me too.
And I mean, you know, something I had to learn. You know, I had to balance the check. I wasn't about budget, nothing, and still had to learn about the stuff. You know.
Oh yeah, now that's big. That's
on.
true. Finances can
Yes,
definitely
and then
wreck a
for a
marriage.
man, and I'm telling you that I had a total reverse, and still to this day, you know, no, I'm not. But they develop so much certain areas. They are so much ahead of us, so to speak. Finances, they start thinking more of the long-term survival.
Well, not every
you know,
girl on finances, but yeah. Because as a matter of fact, that actually broke me up with one of my girlfriends because I was a little bit rattled at how undisciplined financially she was. I was like, "What the?" Anyway, I don't want to belabor that. She's a great lady, but you know, it was just financially. I was like, "Oh my gosh, I don't know if I can do that forever. That's gonna be crazy."
And that's me. I mean, I had to learn from that aspect of it because that's why I let her balance everything because she's so much better when it comes to budgeting.
Would y'all do a monthly budget now? We didn't for years, but we do now.
She does. She does everything. Have her little booking bag and her little journal. She keep, I think, everything to a T. She know how much is going to be left, what we can afford to get, you know.
Yeah.
And no, we don't need to get anything out yet because we only got this. We got this check to still ahead and click. So she's real, and so she's taking it over. But you know, how do I get better at it? You know.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I don't know if you ever listen to Dave Ramsey stuff.
She did. I mean, I did probably for a little while, but not long.
Yeah, and I mean, I've heard more than one person. I mean, they swear by the monthly budget, and we do the monthly budget, but I will say we haven't visited ours in a while. I mean, we've got it set up, and I'm checking it off every month, but you know, y'all may be the same way. You cut stuff to the bone, and at a certain point, it's like, I don't know how much more I can cut out. You know, we don't go out to eat for the most part. We don't, you know.
And we did, you know, Dorita, she's real good when it comes to like the cable and stuff like that. You know, but we cut back, I mean, very basic. Got Roku, you know, which stream everything. So we can go back there and look at any movie we want to. You know, it's been out a while.
Yeah, we're using Roku too now.
And so it's different than, you know, your internet and all that stuff. So she look and shop for the better prices.
Yeah.
And then if somebody come along better, she'll call, well, this is what I got, blah, blah. And sometimes, you know, work a deal. We'll try to get, you know, we take the best offer they can come up with because some of them hate to lose good customers, you know?
Yeah, no, and that's true. We've had that before. You go, all right, we want to cut it out. Well, wait a minute. What if we give you this deal? Oh, okay. Well, that might be better.
Then that's what you
I was watching something the other day, and I kind of think I don't remember exactly what it was, but they were talking about their dating experience was way different because one of the things somebody explained to them, they said, you know, when you think of folks from the Far East and the Middle East, their culture is bring the couple together and the couple grows in love. Whereas in the Western culture, everything's romantically driven, and then you will get all, like you said, the finances down. And he said we're backwards, but their relationships last.
Yeah.
Whereas we're kind of like, you know, everybody kind of gets infatuated, and then this guy's like, I went into the dating scene, and I was like, you know, our first date we were talking about politics, where we landed politically. Second date was where we were at on religious stuff. Third day, you know, and he's like, if the girl would stick through all that, you got somebody to work with, because now you've got somebody you're on the same page with.
Well, a compatibility, so to speak. So to speak.
And not that, I mean, I know there are some couples that are completely opposite, or, you know, different religions or different political stripes, but the different stuff like that. But handling money is a big one.
I think money's a big, you know, and like you said, that, you know, when it comes to your faith and I mean, that's something you have to take into account,
and of course,
too, you know, when
sexual things.
Yes, of course.
Well, we've got to keep this family friendly, so we're not really going to go down that road. But
today,
if you need to email Herb or I for advice, we don't really have any. Thank you. All right, so that's good. So first girlfriend. Speaking of faith stuff, do You got some funny face stories that you wanted to share? Because
Well,
I
I
got
mean,
one.
you
My
know,
sister
like
and
I
I think
said,
it's hilarious.
I grew up United Methodist, and then Dorita, grew up Baptist Church. Of Daddy's a minister.
Was it Methodist AME? What's the
Uh,
AME? American the African Methodist. I think that's out. It might be in California because that's what we saw out there.
Yeah, I mean, I just remember
Just
United
regular
Methodist,
Southern.
yes.
Yeah. Okay.
And then when I got with Dorita, it's like, hey, I like the way that they do the little thing, the preaching and everything. Baptist.
Okay.
They're Baptist.
That's
I mean,
where we
old
grew up.
school Baptist, and just the way that they, the preachers, the Holy Spirit getting to them, the way that they sung, because with Methodists, it was a little bit, I don't know, just opera type singing.
Yeah.
It just wasn't up there. I didn't really feel it, but I just, it's one of those things to where I think I'm going to...
So you just jump ship.
I abandoned ship. But as long as I was getting the nourishment, Rick, that I needed, I was
know.
happy.
What's funny is I talk to people who aren't real versed in faith. Like you can talk to, somebody that's been in the pew for 20 years, and the folks that I talk to that are, agnostic and atheists, or they don't really have a real much of a faith walk, they don't quite understand Methodist versus Baptist versus what. And I'm like, it's just all Protestant denominations. Either you're Catholic or you're one of those other Protestant denominations. And then it just comes down to that's how do you choose to worship? Do you want to worship operatically with that? Do you want to do high church like Catholics and Episcopalians and Lutherans? Do you want to do non-denominational? Do you want to do Baptist? It's a worship choice at that point. It's not really. I mean, because it starts with Jesus and the Christian faith.
Right now it's just Rick. We come to an age and era now that you got it. It's some of everything. You got just I don't know. I guess a little bit more of a new age type religion coming in. Where they get where don't even mention Jesus no more. But it's I am. That you're the power and you're the man God and can do all this. So it's one of those things, Rick, to where. Now, especially with the kids and everything, it's because when I was growing up a little bit, we were pretty much in church every Sunday.
Yeah, well, I mention? I mean, I grew up in church. Basically, we were in church 3 to 4 days a week. It would be Sunday, Sunday night, and Wednesdays at least.
Wow, that was just like that's how Dorita and her sister, because they went during the week, because since Daddy was a minister, they went on to go all the time
I didn't think about that. Yeah,
and after a while, I guess they can. It's one of these things where you can experience burnout too. But it's like one of these things to where now I don't think a lot of and somebody like this a generation. You have some that already need. Have people that's totally not. But then again, you could have somebody that's Hinduism and etc.
Oh yeah, well, that's not a big a deal to have them in the church. I mean, because we actually had a Chinese guy that just actually accepted Christ here 2 or 3 weeks ago, got baptized. We've got a couple of appear to be Indians that come to church from the Middle East India, not American Indians. That are coming and they seem to be enjoying it. But we were in. Cause I think my parents were they were struggling with their marriage so much they were like, we got to keep these kids in church, which was a good thing. I credit them for it now because it's given me a faith foundation to live from and. Times get tough. And what I think is sad for me is I've got some people that are very, have sort of like a lone wolf attitude or, I know that, I'm not really into the corporate worship and the, what is it they call it? I can't remember what they call it, but, I believe there's a God and blah, blah, blah.
And that's what I was going to say. Somebody, I believe it's something out there higher, than what we are, but who you think of that?
I know some people that are even go as far as I believe in God and I believe that Jesus is his son, but I don't like organized religion. That's their thing. And I'm like, I see it now. I realize I'm like, God, you don't know what you're missing now because now I've got like a secondary family unit, which is my church, that if struggles are going on, I've got a secondary unit I can go to, or they're praying for me, or, I've had financial struggles, Trish and I at one point, and they were like, dropping off bags of groceries and
anything
and checks.
And that's
it's
what
amazing.
It's about. Yes.
Yeah. And it's like, you don't know what you're missing. Oh, and I know one of our friends over here, they just had their newborn and their jobs or schedules are crazy. But I was like you and Doritas. And one of the other couples in church just stepped up and were like, they keep them all the time. And they basically are the surrogate aunt and uncle now.
Ain't that amazing? I mean, like I said, Jesus make things, he put things, when you, like I said, when you get that intimate relationship and that walk with him, amazing things can and will happen always, as long as you keep that faith. And like I say, I think it depends, Rick, on how they grew up, the parents, so to speak.
Yeah,
they grew up
there's a
going to
lot
church.
of that.
You have some that just never did grow up with their parents, and like the kids now, it's the weirdest thing because one of my little girls, was coming home and had this little puzzled look. I was like, "What's wrong?" Well, one of my friends said she don't believe in Jesus. She don't go to church. And I was like, how does it make you feel? Just trying to be soft. Well, really made me mad. I don't think I want to be friends. I said, well, okay. I said, well, and I got sort of tongue.
Well, that's actually where that's your mission field right there is your friend who's lost.
And it's like, well, would you like to invite her to church? You know what I mean? I mean, let's just try to work things out now because I say still be friends, but let's invite her to see because you'd be surprised how many of the youngs will be.
Yeah, when I was in Los Angeles, it was kind of interesting because out there it's really a spiritual buffet at best. Everybody's trying all these different kinds of
things,
and they like we're in the Bible Belt down here, but out there they're like they're trying. They're looking at stuff and they look at Christianity as, oh, okay, yeah, that's kind of interesting. You follow the Christianity thing, huh? And I'm like, yeah. And then you got some of them that are so hardcore atheists and this, that, or the other, but they're nice and they'll listen to you. And I'm like, well, and I remember at one point being at my job and they were gathered around my desk and they're asking me to explain.
Hold on, they were gathered around. They had you single out. I mean,
because I was like professing a faith, and they're like, well, why do you believe in that? You don't believe in evolution? I'm like, maybe on a micro level, but not macro, so to speak, or as if we came from nothing to this. And they're like, really? That's interesting. I'm like, yeah. I said, what I find would be I find atheists have difficulty explaining stuff like, where does sight, taste, hearing, touch, and smell come from? That just happened? Out of nothing? I mean, and they were like, oh, yeah, you got a point. That is kind of complex, isn't it? And I'm like, yeah, and it's easy for people of faith to kind of, because all we have to do is just go, okay, well, God created this, that, or the other. Right. The atheist has to explain how everything came from nothing.
Well, they go into fine detail about, if came from ape, caveman, Neanderthal, or whatever,
So we crawled out of this sludge, did lightning strike this pond somewhere, and all of a sudden life started, and now all of a sudden I have two hands, two eyes that give me distance, perfect distance. And by the way, the Earth sits the perfect distance from the sun, and it never burns up and never freezes. I mean, there's too much balanced and too much for me to just go, yeah, it just happened out of nothing.
And like I say, when you're gonna sit there, you're just not gonna accept with all that because our job as Christian, stand up for your faith and what you believe in. Even it works. That's why you don't, because it's such a sensitive subject. Nowadays, Rick is like, well, we have let's just say the fire department 4 or 5. We want to go pray, go look at something. I mean, but it's not forced upon. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that's kind of cool. And I've seen that in cultures. Yeah, I think that I saw a little of that in Los Angeles, but I see it. It's obviously back here. People have we're at lunch, so we're going to do a once a week Bible study or something like that.
I mean, and like I say, especially we worked on Sundays or something like that. It wasn't nothing that was pushed on anybody, but 2 or 3 of us go whatever, and we Bible school. We go look at something on television when the the churches, and I mean, then you get these other guys, looking at it. Oh, what they're doing back there? I don't know. Church of Christ, I guess. I mean, just coming up with something.
I was going to tell you about one of my funny stories was back when we were young. We got baptized. My brother, he had not learned to swim yet.
Oh, really?
And did not like going underwater. So we were, I remember this. It was kind of around the time my parents divorced again. What we were talking about there. They were keeping us in church a lot. And letting us, say I'd go with my friends up the street. Hey, they're going to church, and it's a youth group. Well, my brother was getting baptized, and the pastor was gonna, it was the full immersion Baptist because we were in a Baptist church.
Did y'all do it like an actual river, or did y'all have a pool?
They had a baptism in the church. Okay. Yeah. And so me and my sister knew that this was going to be a struggle for my brother, and we were out in the pew, and we were, you're already chuckling.
Especially,
I think it was on a Sunday night. Yeah, he didn't, and he wasn't into going underwater. That was, his thing. And so, they do that thing. They hold your nose or whatever,
your nose and they
dip you in and dip you back up.
Yeah.
So, we're holding back our full laughs, but as he goes under, we see his arms flailing up.
Was already starting to fight?
He was kind of flailing up, and the next thing I know, he's knocked the pastor's glasses up on the side of his head. and his hair's kind of messed up, and he's trying to bring my brother back.
Whoa, son, hold it. We'll get that. I can imagine coming like a cat being dunked in
the
water.
Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. Way ho! Just it was funny.
So I mean, when I'm coming up, it's one of those things yet to where if you just. You're not comfortable.
Just relax.
Yeah,
but he wasn't about relaxing underwater yet.
Oh, I mean,
now he
especially
swims now, fine, but
come up shaking. Oh, he's got the spirit in him. Yes.
So
yes.
Well, obviously, when he comes back up and he's knocked our pastor's glasses off and stuff, we are just doing all we can do not to howl.
So I was a pastor looking puzzled the whole time.
Well,
I'm quite sure he had other people to destiny.
Yeah, there's probably been occasionally people get a little bit crazy over it, but anyway. That ought to wrap that one up. I just figured I'd wrap it up on a funny note.
We hope you've enjoyed this week's Herb and Rick Social Hour.